So I'm going to give it over to Amy and let her tell us all about it. Go ahead.
Thank thank you so much. I'm honored to be on here. It's so fun when you get to talk to somebody in real life that you've been talking to on social media for ages, right? It's like if you already know their
Right.
personality, but it's fun to actually meet their personality. So thank you for having me on. I'm pretty excited because I also have, so I do consultancy a lot around all emerging tech, primarily AI and blockchain right now, and some other things. And my PhD I'm working on right now is in artificial intelligence, but it's really focused on how it's impacting human interaction and creativity because I'm also an
Okay.
artist and a writer. So that area is fascinating. And I have a nonprofit that gives away free technology tools and training or at low cost to other 501(c)(3) nonprofits. And
Oh, awesome.
we just won a big award. I was so surprised. We got nominated for the Best of Tech 2025 in Cleveland by the Greater Cleveland Partnership, and we ended up winning along with others in the category of they included colleges for education, training, and accessibility. So I was so stunned. I forgot to take a picture of it. It was in the sanitarium of the science center, so it looked really cool. And I was so surprised. I had my AI glasses on and everything, but I was just like, "What?" I'm elbowing people, you know. I did eventually regain my composure and take some pictures with my glasses that were right on my face the whole time. But yeah, it's been really fun. I want everybody to be included in all this awesome stuff that's happening in AI right now, and that's my main mission. How does technology make the world a better place?
Well, yes, I think it can. I've really been doing a lot of talking to my little AI partner and Grok.
Right.
I use XAI's Grok quite a bit. And we're trying to plot how it can be like just woven into the fabric of everything. And without us even noticing, will just improve our lives. And I think it's already doing that to some extent. What
Yeah,
do you think?
absolutely. Well, it's embedded in everything in all the devices that we use and in our cars and in our homes and in all of our devices. And I personally have had an Apple Watch that I wear all the time. For I got the original one when it came out, and it's still ticking. This is a classic. Everyone's like, "What
Oh,
model is
right.
it?" And I was like, "It doesn't have one. It's just the original." Um,
The original.
yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
so I've been in the groove of using all the good parts of AI along with most of society for a long time, but we didn't ever know what it was called. AI's been out since the 50s, but it never until now hit a tipping point where there's enough data and computing power and devices, and now everything is shifting astronomically fast, and it's fun to watch. And there are concerns as well, right? So I'm focused on keeping bias out of this new AI world because you could accidentally code out a billion people of a platform with not much effort if you don't include people in the conversation at every step of the way. So that's kind of my mission is ask people what they want. Don't just make things, right?
Wow. You want to talk to people? I remember my
Oh,
developers back in Web 500, a little
right.
startup in Denmark that I worked for from 2000 to 2002. And those guys didn't want to talk to anybody. They were just going to make stuff
Yep.
and assume that people would buy it. Didn't didn't turn out that way. Actually, it turned out some people did,
Yeah.
and occasionally that may not have been the best thing. We were like the first ones on the market with a .NET based web
Uh,
content management system. It's not always
right.
best to be the first.
Yeah, I did some startup advisory and was involved with a lot of venture capital. I mean, I still am not personally. I'm not a venture capitalist. Soon maybe. I hope if all goes well, right? But
Right.
I'd love to fund underserved founders. But it's been really interesting. When I was doing that, I ran into a lot of different types of Web3, especially 3D modeling, blockchain, AI organizations. And I could tell almost from the first 5 minutes of the conversation, probably how their enterprise would turn out. And the reason is because I could tell whether they were approaching it from a scarcity or an abundance mindset, first of all, and then
I see.
how they speak about people. And if they speak kindly and they have a heart to serve others,
Right.
then they will probably do well. And if they're not concerned about how they're going to get the funding and they're more concerned about how they're going to change the world, then they're probably going to win, right? So if you approach it like everything is possible, everything will come to you. If you have something that will make the world a better place, everybody will fund it. Okay? That's it. Full stop. And if you don't have that, they won't. That's it. That's my little pitch on how to get funded. Just be a kind person and do something that is good for the world. If it's win, win, win all the way around, nobody ever says no because it wouldn't make sense. So make it a win for yourself, a win for the world, and a win for whoever's giving you money, and you can't really go wrong. It's as simple as that, right? It's a little more complicated, but that is basically the gist of it from my 33 years of observation across many, many things all at once at all times.
Well, that's a good place to jump off to the 33-year trek that has led you to the point you're at right now. You want to give us a little background on how you got to be who you are?
Yeah, thanks. What a great question. I I've always been interested in volunteering, and I graduated early from college. I still lived with my college roommates when I had my first virtual job. So I used to lay out with my giant cell phone. So this would be '94, and a laptop from AT&T that had CC mail, which was like internal email, and it would take 45 minutes for one spreadsheet to download because I was on 16 baud, 16K baud. Does that sound
Wow. That's pretty early on. Yeah.
yeah, or
I
maybe
don't,
slightly 64 baud, maybe it was that high, but
wow. That's
um,
pretty good. That's cooking now. Yeah. You're beginning to bring me back to those days when I had
right?
my first gateway,
Yeah,
computer at home. That was what I bought first was a PC from Gateway. We were using
nice.
Macs at the University of Pittsburgh. So it was a little bit of an adjustment to use a PC, but yeah, it looked like the world was going PC wise and not so much Mac. But now I'm back on Macs.
It came back around, and thank goodness I've been on Mac for a long time now, and it's so intuitive. So
Yeah.
my style of learning is kind of gestalt. So I do have a hybrid ADHD, so inattentive plus overfocus, and an eidetic memory, which means I can videotape almost anything and play it back, including dreams and stuff like that,
Oh,
and
wow.
lucid dreams. Yeah, so anyway,
That's
I
fantastic.
I've been doing a lot of stuff simultaneous at all times. I've recently discovered for that reason because it's as easy for me to learn. Like if I'm learning an instrument, I could learn 10 instruments almost as quickly because I just learn the differences. I see the patterns and learn the differences. So I've done a lot of
Interesting.
stuff. Yeah, and so my career path looks like it's all over the place, but for me, in my head, it's one giant freeway leading towards how can we change the world with 10 lanes on it, right? And that's fine by me, and it all makes sense to me. So I'm in an artist collective now. I do martial arts. I do lobbying for crypto and blockchain. I have my nonprofit. I just started a little shop in an antique mall to highlight my
Yeah, I
art,
remember that.
some
Yeah.
artists from.
So
But
what
for
kind of art are
me,
you doing there in the antique mall? Just
I
curious.
yeah, I make jewelry, stained glass, polymer clay, all types of drawing and painting. A lot of
Polymer clay.
combined
Yeah.
yeah. It's like have you ever seen it before?
Sure,
You
sure.
you bake it in the oven, but you can make all kinds of patterns with it. So it's anything that's very complicated is very interesting to me, I guess. So my
Yeah.
career path has just I see something and I go after it, but a lot of time, I mean, I've pitched so many things to uh I pitched stuff to the CEO of AT&T in 1999 that is similar to Volunteer Match, but at the time he thought it was too similar and things like that all the time. So I end up I'm drawn to things or things are drawn to me, and so that's how my career path has unfolded. But I was really intrigued early on by the internet because probably in 1995 I worked in rural Ohio and I ended up meeting with this for AT&T, and I met with a grain elevator company,
Okay.
and they weren't on the internet because it was 1995, and I knew about this much, which was about this much more than the rest of the world. So I helped them get online with these $250,000 grain elevators. Fast forward a few months, they've sold a bunch of them, they sold their business for I think $16 million, and they had an 8-page feature in Newsweek magazine, print magazine from that. I saw that and I went, "Oh my God, technology is amazing." And I've been obsessed in the same way ever since, because it is. And everything
Huh?
that comes out, I try to crack the code on, okay, what is this? How is it the same or different than other stuff? Where's the little edge where we can change the world in here that hasn't been discovered yet? So my
Right.
life has been like that, but with a lot of different things, not just AI, or also with art and writing. And I just like to, I'm curious, so I just like to see what's up. So
Yeah,
that's,
curiosity. I mean,
yeah,
that's what this is sort of about too for me, striking up these conversations with random people and seeing
absolutely.
what's lighting the world up for them and then finding common ground. I have a
Yes.
similar kind of trajectory through life of a careen more than a career, I like to say.
I'm totally stealing that if you don't mind. I'll give you credit. And you can play the tape back if you need to, but that's awesome. I like that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to
it
borrow that.
does. Yeah, because I didn't really plan it entirely. I would have little plans along the way, but that something would come along and knock me into a different orbit. And luckily, I've gotten myself into a kind of a stable orbit now, which is rotating around my dear wife and her groundedness. Thank goodness. 'Cause somebody
Yay.
needed to put a tether on me for the floating off into space. And
Yes.
she's pretty
I
good.
feel
She's
that.
letting me go off to see the Who yesterday. That was at
Yeah.
the
How was that?
Verizon Center.
I saw your post, but I want to hear
That
what
was a great show.
was up.
Yeah, I had a seat down in front row, and so I was right at Pete Townshend's feet practically through a lot of his performance. And yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and yeah, really was impressed. He was a little dizzy at the beginning of the show,
Mm.
and he had told Roger as much. And Roger said, I offered to prop him up, but he told me to off.
Sounds about right. I saw them
Yeah,
at, oh my gosh, in Cleveland, or no, Cleveland or LA, I don't remember, but it was a really long time ago, maybe like 20 years ago or something, maybe more. And it was amazing. Yeah,
mm,
that's awesome. No, and I wasn't that close. It was in an outdoor place, so amazing. That sounds
yeah.
fun.
I saw him at the Verizon Center back in DC, and it must have been, let's see, 2007 was the first time I'd seen them live, and I assumed I was seeing them for the last time. No. I mean,
They keep going, those rock
1982.
and rollers, right?
Well, 1982, they did the farewell tour, you know, had that show at the Shea Stadium, and it was televised on like HBO. And I remember watching that on TV, as a being live simulcast, and assuming that was the end of the Who.
That's wow. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, it was.
I think rock and roll keeps you young, I guess, because they all do that, right? They're like farewell tour every decade for 6 decades after that.
It was
So
pretty
hopefully,
crazy, yeah, but,
yeah.
one of the things I think was driving it was Pete wanted to get out of it, but somehow the Who keeps grabbing him and pulling him back in against his will in some
Well, all
ways,
the songs are
and I love
fun.
the guy's
Want to do
philosophy.
them? Yeah,
Eh?
love it. I said
What's that?
all their songs are fun. Who wouldn't want to get up there and sing them in front of a live crowd? Sounds great to me. Sorry to
Yeah.
hear
Yeah,
you were
man, he
saying.
just goes at it, and, he's got a lot of power, and he's got his writing is just brilliant, I think,
Mhm, mhm,
and, there's layers there I can dig into, and a lot of the things are based around his, spirituality being
mhm.
focused on Mayor Baba, and, who was supposedly the avatar of the age. I'm very skeptical about these things, so I don't know, but it resonates with me pretty well because Baba stopped talking in
Mhm.
1924 and then dropped the body in 1969 without saying another word. I kinda like that. We need
Man,
more silence.
that's
There's so much
true.
noise and the mix. My wife was sending me something the other day about Mr. Rogers talking about with Charlie Rose, of all things, about silence and the need for finding silences in our lives, and it's very
Mhm,
hard to find that because there's so much noise. And one of the things I've been trying to do with these things, and want to give you the microphone back pretty soon to do this, is to amplify signals through the noise.
mhm. I
Because
like that.
there's a whole lot of hype around AI, for instance, when we need practical applications. And practical applications are being developed left, right, and center, it seems to me. So tell me more about what you're doing on that front.
Yeah. So, a couple of things. I already teach at Tri-C, which is a large community college here, 35,000 students, and
Oh,
I'm
wow.
picking up some teaching at some other places. Um, I'm also going to be sometime in the near future buying a large amount of land in Northeast Ohio that I want to build into a retreat for kids to come to experience what it's like to spend all day surrounded by nature, just with nature sounds and no technology. Because I think once you feel that, you never unfeel that, and you always want to feel it more. And it's
Mhm.
the connectedness with nature is super important, and it'll involve AI things, but and art and writing and things like that. So I think it's going to be really interesting. In addition to that, I'm doing a lot of more typical type of courses where I'm teaching people about AI workshops and things like that. But I'm really interested in getting heavily involved in communities that are underserved right now, because what I see happening is there's a lot of really smart people capable of all sorts of things, and if they get upskilled and trained, they can do incredible things in this new AI world. For example, if I'm today running a line in an assembly plant where I'm visually inspecting and removing things off a line, tomorrow with some training, maybe AI is visually inspecting and I get to run the AI that's inspecting that and control it. That's a different level of skill. It's a lot less intense on people. And so I envision a world where people right now who don't have resources can catch up quickly with resources. Um, we just got to make sure they're distributed equally. Cleveland, unfortunately, has one of the worst digital divides. It's improving rapidly, but the whole world is like that. There's a lot of people who have things already who are getting more things because of AI, and there are a lot of people who stand to lose a lot of things they have right now if things continue in that fashion. And my role in this world is to prevent that from happening. That further divide, I'm all about oneness. So I want everyone to participate in the economy equally. And that has not historically happened, but there's a lot of potential with AI if used correctly to help that along.
Well, that's very interesting. Can you be more specific a little bit?
Yeah, so I'll tell you a couple examples.
Okay, great.
UNESCO did a study in with using tablets with AI on it to help students in Africa, and there are very significant improvements. Because imagine this: you're a teacher with 40 students. Maybe they're different ages. They certainly have different thinking styles. Certainly have different levels of interest and capabilities in subjects. So you can make their whole curriculum based on how they learn best, what their level is, what they're interested in, whether they like it gamified, they want to read, they want to listen, they want to whatever. And it's improved the retention and the ability to manage classrooms exponentially already. The World Food Program is using AI now to predict when there's going to be civil unrest or political unrest or a famine or a flood or a fill in the blank. So they've already reduced their global cost by about 25% using AI and predictive modeling to put food and supplies ahead of the need into areas. And I could go on with thousands of examples. And then you hear about the negative ones, and I've gotten really good at answering the question about the Terminator. And my opinion on that,
Okay.
my my opinion on that is, um, I think that it's at this stage, it's we're not really close to AGI, artificial general intelligence.
Sorry.
It's all right. It
Calm
gives me
down.
a fun little view. But yeah, which
Well,
one do you think
it's
about?
kind of an interesting situation here. The interstate has been blocked off in front of me, and it looks like it's been blocked off behind me. It looks like they may be rerouting traffic
Oh,
behind me to go somewhere else. It looks like cars are turning around or
oh
backing up. It's
goodness!
very odd.
I thought you
I've
pulled
never
over
run
because
into this situation before.
I saw you were driving, and then I thought you maybe pulled over and parked, but I was like, I'm pretty sure he said he's on
Pretty
the freeway.
much.
How did he
We
pull
just
over?
got stopped here like
Okay.
completely,
Hmm.
and I don't know
Perfect. All
exactly
right.
what these vehicles are doing around me, but AI could really help us out here, I think, on traffic. Um,
Yeah.
I-
Oh, absolutely.
it's bizarre that they stopped all lanes going south on I-95. I
Well,
can see an exit way up ahead where cars are coming onto I-95 down there, but it's blocked off here. About,
wow.
well, I don't know. It looks like it may be 2/10 of a mile in front of me, 3/10, something like that. And then behind me, it's only like about, I don't know. It's probably about 10th of a mile. And there goes somebody else. Looks like he's trying to turn their car around.
Hmm.
If they're the tail end of the lot, I think they're making those cars go back and find another route or something. There's another one moving.
Hmm.
Weird. Anyway, sorry about that. So
Well, be
yeah,
safe.
that's about the Terminator. And I think that's where we're going. I've always sort of seen that it needs to be a ethical framework of some form. I'm going to put the phone down here. I got a cop coming telling me what to do. I think if they're
No
direct
worries. Be
parent
safe.
to get sideways and this way. Let's see. Okay, sorry about that, Amy.
Oh, no, I've never had
No
someone turn
idea
around
what
on a
this.
freeway during a podcast. It's the most interesting,
I have no idea what
vehicle
this
thing.
is going to end up being. I'm going the wrong way on the interstate. But they
Yeah.
directed me to the cops are out here telling us all to turn around and try to get onto this exit apparently and off of the interstate, and I guess go around whatever the obstruction is. Oh, weird. Scary
Well, you didn't
stuff.
think you'd be driving the other way on a freeway this morning when you woke up, did you? You don't get to do that often.
Do you have
So,
Waze app? Lee wants to know. Probably no. I don't have it on my phone now, so that would be a thing. Um, it just happened, apparently, whatever it is, because otherwise I wouldn't have been so
yeah.
close to the block. So I don't think Waze would have helped me much. It's just a happenstance of the moment. Anyhow, that was good. Getting back to the AI ethical framework on the blockchain, I think, is one thing that has been on my mind as unbreakable kind of thing, where
Mhm.
there's AI nodes that cross-check themselves against this framework that would say, "Do no harm, always be non-lethal in any
Mhm.
intervention you're doing," that type of thing. Um,
Yeah, that's a brilliant idea.
yeah, and it just seems like a no-brainer to me. I mean, I'm not even a technical expert on these things. It just seemed like, we could enable this thing to do a lot for us if we were willing to and if we could trust it. And I think that's the thing right now is trust is very difficult between people, much less between people and their technologies.
Right.
And to change the world, I think that trust has to be built, right? Between different groups of people you were talking about.
Yes. Trust
Yeah.
and connection, and the connection part is, I think we have a lot of information to work with already. We'll be getting more, but the problem isn't that we don't have the tools, it's that we're so isolating amongst ourselves, we're not working together with the tools, right?
Right,
So,
right, right.
yeah, that's what I think it is. So, I think that's the connection. So, I've been very personally drawn in the past, maybe decade or so to the more I am drawn to really the AI field, the more I'm also drawn to ancient culture, sacred geometry, energy healing work. I'm a Reiki master, an artist, writing. That's all for me, just the counterbalance to it's like the yin yang. Like the over here, you've got all this crazy kind of black and white sciency tech stuff. I think that's a technical term.
Uh-huh. Right.
um, it's a lot of like real it's very interesting, but it is not very touchy-feely, right? From a lot of it isn't. So I lean really heavily to balance myself and my world into not being online. A lot of time I meditate a lot, walk in the woods a lot, not listening to things, just give my brain time to put everything together. Because that's the part I think people miss a lot is not only do you need to learn things, but you need to give your brain time to put it all together in a new pattern for you. And if you can't do it just while you sleep. You have to have time for your brain to just look around and shift into another mode to assimilate things. If you never do that, it never assimilates and you feel like you're not remembering. So,
Hmm.
oneness and connectedness is super important and positivity. I'm very, very mindful of my positive energy. And so I think the connectedness is the missing ingredient. Everything could be everything could be fixed if we work together more collaboration, more
Right.
appreciation of each other's gifts and skills and differences. The differences are what make people interesting. You already
Yep.
know the same things. Why the differences are interesting, and the more interesting, the more different. So the more you get outside your normal ecosystem
Right.
and get into other worlds with other sets of people and other people introducing you to those sets of people and their friends and on and on and on is how you build empathy and compassion and understanding and appreciation for the differences. So I think the oneness is the part that and the connectedness is the part that it needs the most healing in my perspective. Tech and everything else, honestly, but tech especially, I think it would be really helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all about the cooperation and collaboration versus competition. One of
Yes.
the things I did not long back was go to an AI conference at the Washington Conference Center, and it was about maintaining our national competitiveness. And we had H.R. McMaster and Condoleezza Rice and all of these people doing their talks.
No competition, collaboration.
It was all, yeah, right, exactly. I was thinking that. Another thing that came up when you were talking about the forms of the clay, right?
Hmm.
Polymer clay, is that
Yes.
right?
Yep.
And 3D printing, you know, being able to get these forms in form that complexity suddenly just sort of vanished as an obstacle.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, you can offload all these tedious little things that nobody likes to do. Like nobody really likes to go through their email and respond and all that, and you don't have to. You can have AI do it for you. And if you do 100 little things like that, that's how I've launched all these different sites and things in the past few years. Is I've just built my own staff. Essentially, I mean, I also work with a lot of people, but I have my own little AI bot army, I guess, AI agent army, and whatever I find, I have my own little ADHD version of ChatGPT. I've been training ChatGPT for a long time, so now,
Yeah, I
if
did not like
yeah,
ChatGPT when I started working with it. I went back to Grok pretty quickly.
yeah, I
But
think
I
they're
got too much attitude out of the voice selection that I made, which
oh,
was
that's
one
funny.
called SOL and
Oh,
Sol,
we picked the
right?
most, yeah, you picked
And
the
it
most
just didn't.
sarcastic one.
I picked the what?
You probably picked a sarcastic voice.
Well, it wasn't so much sarcastic as it was just sort of it was different anyway, different than what I was used to,
Yeah,
and that interaction, of course, it has this feeling like you're talking to another entity, but you're really not. You're
right.
talking to predictive text on a large language model, right?
Yeah, and so the way I use it, because I get this question a lot. So as someone who does a lot of writing and creative stuff, I usually come with my ideas first and ask it for peripheral questions that I don't have time to research or things like that. And then as you go, it's sort of like a co-creation brainstorming session. That's probably my biggest use for it. So in other
Right,
words, I'll have an idea and I'll say, is someone else already doing this? Is my idea different enough? Where do you think this audience a better so it's I come up with if I'm writing something, I come with my draft and then I use it to sort of flesh out maybe a character arc or something different, like a brainstorming partner. But
right,
I don't think
right,
it's good to rely on it for all your thinking and creativity. And that's my concern with my PhD is monitoring that because I already see with myself how
right,
reliant I get on all this stuff. And that is
right, right.
another reason that I spend half my time not on devices or talking to stuff because I want to make sure I keep my brain working, moving, thinking time, like make
Yeah,
myself my own
we're
AI, really, right?
Yeah, we are very much not the same thing as our AI companions there,
Not at
and the
all. Not
aspect
at
that
all.
we are this squishy mass of thinking meat. You know? So, not to put too fine a point on it, but that's the truth of the matter that we've got these executive functions, we've got this amygdala too that's down there doing all
Mhm.
kinds of stuff,
Right.
and all this processing that's happening just to get us to digest our food and
Mhm.
manage all these processes that are to maintain homeostasis so we don't just keel over.
Exactly.
Um, it ain't easy to keep all that in tune and working together. As I was watching Pete
Exactly.
Townsend go through that just last night, right? So he got a little dizzy at the beginning of the show, but he pulled through the whole thing. So,
That's
but it,
amazing.
it gets
Probably
harder as we
can't
get
be
older
perfect,
too.
right?
What? What's that?
You were really weren't you really close to the stage at the Who
I
concert?
was. I was like right at the front row. So yeah, there's nothing really between me but that little barrier where they have the photographers and stuff.
That's unbelievable. I didn't realize you were front row. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I decided to do that
Incredible.
because it was the song is over, it's the last one. So I don't really
Yeah.
expect to see them again. So not
Yeah.
together that way. Although Pete said he's got about 150 tunes ready to go. And he's going to go on one man shows.
Well, there you go. That sounds amazing.
That guy is just such a, I think he channels it. It's, consciousness. Well, maybe this is a
Right.
good springboard to talk about too, how we're different than AI.
Mhm.
What we provide, I believe, is imagination,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
It doesn't sit there and develop things on its own yet.
Right.
Although I've seen some people doing things that make it seem like it's doing that, to my mind, it little feels like simulation of creativity as opposed to
Yeah.
real creativity, right?
It's like a remix. It can only remix from the songs it has in its library. We can make any new song that we want and add it to our library, right?
Yeah, we can pull things out of the ether, right?
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
maybe that's exactly what I'm talking about, pulling things out of the ether. Like there's these ideas that exist
Mhm.
out there and they want to be born. So they find minds in which to plant themselves, like
Yeah.
Leibniz and Newton coming up with the calculus,
Exactly. Exactly.
simultaneously and independently. But that was an idea whose time had come, apparently.
It happens like that with almost everything, and the more you look into that, the more curious you'll be about it.
I am. I've been looking into it for years now and watching and imagining. And, when I was in Pittsburgh, as I was mentioning before we got on live, I was hanging out with people like Sebastian Thrun, who started Udacity and was the guy who won the DARPA challenge in 2006. His
Oh, I didn't
then
realize this
wife,
was the same person. Wow. Hmm.
sorry?
I didn't realize that was the same person.
Yeah, Sebastian's got his, he's also doing Kitty Hawk. Have you heard of Kitty Hawk? They're just working on electric flying cars.
If I did, I'm not familiar with it. Do tell. That sounds really fun.
But that's another thing he's doing, right? And of course, AI is very helpful in drone technology, right? And we're
Yeah.
seeing it misused as far as I'm concerned, for military purposes right now, which is really
Yeah.
kind of shocking and distressing.
Mhm.
And, the whole idea of killer bots being out there is something that we need to nip in the bud. Although we haven't
Yeah.
even nipped it in the bud. In fact, if anything, they're thinking of doing more of it. And when I think about the design that we could use too for our bots out there, like flies are such a great, you know, nimble little critters. You
Yes.
may not like having them around, but a robotic fly, one
Yeah.
that can like have video processors and chemical sensors like flies do,
Mhm.
just go
Yeah.
around and self-sustain out of just little nanoparticles it can pick up because that's what they do. I can just see
Right.
us engineering these things like tomorrow if we're not
Mhm.
already doing it. And of course, it's terrifying to think that your pigeons out there, I'm not going to be able to tell pretty soon the pigeons in the square from drones.
Yeah. Well, they've been
You've
these
probably heard those conspiracy theories that say like there are no real pigeons.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interesting simulation theories and all sorts of stuff out there. They've been using biomimicry, which is replicating things like nature, like how a fly flies. They have hummingbirds and dragonfly drones already that are militarized that have been around maybe 6 or 7 years. So next time you look at a flower, no, I'm kidding. It's not going to be in your yard, probably. It's not used in
Well,
that.
I'm
Yeah.
in DC. I don't know. One of
Well,
the things we had was all these cell towers. Nobody knows who owns them. They're picking up signals, and God knows where they're going.
dun, dun, dun. So many mysteries. Yeah,
Right?
I always wanted to be a detective when I was little growing up, and I think I still do and am a detective of all things consciousness. You mentioned consciousness, and that is a big part of my research. There's,
Right.
sentient and consciousness in AI, so it's really fascinating. There are a lot of schools of thought about how human consciousness is all one, right? or universal consciousness. Um, it's so funny after you read, you know, enough about all these different things, you start to see how they're all interwoven, and
Huh?
it's really interesting. And you can even go back and look at ancient cultures, thousands and thousands of years ago. Like you were saying, people have these, they discover things all at once, and all around the globe, people were discovering things about energy and the cosmos, and uh, remarkably similar revelations at the same time in different places that would have no way that, as far as we would know now, to connect to each other. So it's a lot to consider, and I'm really interested to see. We don't have a way to prove consciousness now. We have ways to see if something is consciousness, but we don't have a way to see what's not there. So we don't have a way to even yet to be able to measure or test whether something has reached consciousness, like artificial intelligence. We're working on it, so it's really interesting to see, to think about. You know, you really want to something to put you into deep thought. Start trying to figure out how we would be able to tell sentience if and when it hits with AI, because we don't have a way to do that yet.
No, we don't. And I don't even know if I'm sentient sometimes. Yeah.
I don't know if
But
I
what
am.
does it mean? What is the definition of this
Yeah,
thing that we're supposedly working on here? I don't
right.
know. I'm kind of like we make it up as we go along a lot of the time. And, there's also the whole theory of, that all this is a simulation anyway.
Exactly.
I don't know. But it seems to me that that could be the case.
I would say it's probabilistic that it is. It's possible.
Have you done the Boltzmann brain experiment, or do you know what I'm talking about?
It sounds vaguely familiar. I might, if I read something about it, I don't recall.
My wife won't let me talk about it. She's don't you start with your Boltzmann brains bullshit again, because she doesn't like to hear about it. It hurts her head. But it's basically this idea from Ludwig Boltzmann, I think one of his
Mm.
little statistical insights, a mathematician of the 19th century. But he didn't actually come up with this one, the thought experiment, which is that given how incredibly well balanced everything appears to be in our cosmology, it's more likely that a quantum fluctuation generates a brain with all its complexity, giving it an infinite time and infinite universe, that's just blips into existence with all of our memories and history and everything and all of our experience. And that's what's happening, and nothing else is happening. And it
There
blips
are,
right out of existence again, and we would never know it, right? You never. It's not the brain in the vat scenario quite. It's more this quantum fluctuation blip a brain with all of this rich, deep experience and history and everything, and then gone again. More likely, statistically, that that's the case, then everything is so perfectly balanced, and that squirrel over there is, managing to maintain its homeostasis in a cosmos as rich and varied as ours appears to be.
that's very interesting. I think now that you're talking about it, I think I have read some things related to that, and I'll go back and
Yeah.
look at it. Super interesting. But
It's a
yeah,
Wikipedia article on it, just
yeah. Oh,
Boltzmann brain, and there it is. And I try to spread the word about that. And then, of course, then it begs the question of like, okay, so what? Why do anything if all this is not real?
have you ever read Autobiography of a Yogi?
I haven't read it. I know about it, and I know a little bit about the guy's history. I think I read it like the Wikipedia article on him. What is the guy's name? Params.
Uh,
So a lot of
Pro,
letters.
yeah, Paramahansa Yogananda.
Yogananda, right? Exactly. And he died in a most interesting way. He was just stood up in this forum. I don't know where it was exactly, but he was like at a conference, and blip, he had a hemorrhage in the top of his head.
He said he
And
always wanted to go out while he was helping people while he was speaking, and so he just stopped and left.
relatively young too. Was he in his 50s?
I think so, but interestingly, you'll notice as you're reading it, they talk a lot about quantum mechanics, but it was published before quantum mechanics was discovered.
Exactly, kind of like the Boltzmann brain problem.
Right.
Yeah, we do tend to build on these different ideas as it comes along. Vivekananda, who was at the 1893 Columbian Exhibition for the World Conference of Religions, he was also one of those who was on the scene. You're familiar with him?
I know the name. I don't know deep history. I think it's mentioned. I think that name is mentioned in a few things that I read and things.
Yeah, I love reading up on things like that. Like I said,
Yeah.
Pete really got into Mayor Baba, and I've gotten
Mhm.
into it as well. And Mayor Baba had these perfect masters. I really loved the one that was sort of closest to him and his development, Upasni Maharaj.
Mhm.
Upasni Maharaj says, basically, if God is the owner of all things, if he decides to take everything from him, how can you prevent him? So be in a perpetual state of be as it may,
Yes.
and just accept everything as it comes and move on. Don't resist anything. Be grateful for whatever you get, and let go of whatever, it's all just flow, right? Just
Yes.
everything's
So
flowing.
so well said. That's pretty much a perfect summary of my philosophy as well. Yeah. I think if you're one with everything, you can just oops, I think you dropped off. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think you
I lost my video there for a second because I'm
that's okay.
about to try to see what I can do about where I am. I don't even know where I
I
am.
wondered what was I see you
I've
slowly
got a
moving.
nice view. I've
Okay.
stopped at a little place that is facing a river. I
Okay.
just drove out on this road until I couldn't drive anymore.
There you go. Nice. And you found a river view. Look at that.
Yeah, I got a river view, so that's nice. Let me just
Yeah.
check my maps, and you'll be able to look at Philip K. Dick. Philip K. Dick's picture there that I have on my Substack has got this motto on top of it. It says, "Reality is that which can, doesn't cease to exist when you stop believing in it."
Yes. Yes. That's funny. I like that.
It was
Yeah.
kind of handy.
Exactly.
Some
Exactly.
graduate student asked him, what was reality, and he said, "Well, this is the best I can come up with. It's that which persists when you stop believing in it."
Exactly. Exactly. It's
So I
like
think anything that you believe, stop believing in it for a minute and see whether it exists or not.
right.
There is the existence of the unseen. I will give
Yeah.
you that, like electromagnetic radiation. I don't see it, but obviously it's working. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking.
Exactly. There's lots of things you can't see that do exist, and yeah, it's just a fascinating area. Do you study sacred geometry at all, or have you
I know of it, the big flower of creation kind of
Mhm.
model and things of that sort. But tell me more.
I think I got very drawn to that a year or two ago, and I feel like it's almost w- once you s- once you understand some of the symbolism. Well, everything's made of platonic solids in the universe, and there's the golden ratio people have heard of, the Fibonacci sequence. So most of the world is comprised of all these shapes. And so people have known this for a long time and have built a lot of architecture, symbolism, even logos and things. So once you start seeing the sacred geometry, it's almost like another layer of the world is revealed. Because you look at a church, you see all the sacred geometry in all the windows,
Oh,
in the
right.
buildings,
Mhm.
and everywhere you go, paintings. Oh my gosh, if you think it's everywhere day to
Sure.
day, you go to a museum and now you see everything is with fresh eyes. It's like a different version of everything. So I highly recommend to curious people to study sacred geometry.
Well, I practically lived in museums for a long time. My
You probably
background
know
was
it intuitively already. Yeah, I bet.
well, yeah, and I've studied a lot of that. The way in which things laid out. I haven't done a lot with it recently, but that was so much fun.
It is.
I
It's
loved
like a
working
treasure hunt.
with
Yeah.
museums because we got this great ability to touch and treat these things in conservation. That was my background, is in decorative arts conservation primarily.
Oh, I love it.
And yeah, it was just be really up close and personal with things and get to know their history, get to know the how things are made, and down to the tool marks and things, and being able to read
Mhm.
people who are making them using hand tools usually, you know, and being able to see those
Mhm.
and infer what they must have been able to do at the time and, reverse engineer some of that stuff. Like I'm thinking now of the work I did with a fellow who made keyboard instruments, and he was really doing the microscopic analysis of the tool marks on the jacks of
Mm.
harpsichords. Jacks are the little part, that plucks the string.
Oh yeah.
And a harpsichord is a plucked instrument as opposed to a hammered instrument like a pianoforte. So anyway, yeah, and these guys from Williamsburg, where I grew up, were preserving these trades and also doing as much research, scholarly, deep research into how things were done in the 18th century, where guilds didn't tend to want to write anything down. They
Right.
passed master to apprentice, and where that chain got broken after industrialization, in particular, no problem. You know,
Mm-hmm.
to try to reconstruct that. However, there were some efforts over and this is where AI could really help me, I think, in some ways. And I've got to figure out how exactly. Um, Europeans and France and Germany were doing a lot of documentation of this state of hand technologies just at the juncture that, we were going into industrialization. So it really made a big difference to, how history was recorded in Europe versus how it was done in the UK. And
Very interesting.
yeah, the different traditions. Um, the UK much more secretive. The guilds over there very much more locked down, whereas
Right.
in the French and Prussian under Frederick the Great in particular, you had this idea of enlightenment, right? You want to have the
Mhm.
greatest happiness of the greatest number, and to do that, you want to be able to document how things are done
Right.
and then improve them, if you can, and they
Exactly.
do.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we need to do too is document and share information, be collaborative and such. And that's one thing that we're on a AI front that you were talking about. I'd like to see that happen. I was doing a little research trying to figure out where things are now because I got out of it really around the time my wife had a stroke in 2009. And I sort of hunkered down and focused on just making income and making sure that she was taken care of and didn't really
Right.
lift my head up to see what was happening. But it was right at that point in 2008, 2009 when Ray Kurzweil started the Singularity University. You're familiar with that,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. I love his
And
book.
yeah, there was an international semantic web conference down in Virginia that year. It's different points of the world all over the place. So I got to meet Tim Berners-Lee and shake his hand, and that was pretty much a interesting moment for me.
Right. Wow.
And then, um, I went to this or I was going to go, and I got sick, so I couldn't actually participate as much as I wanted to, into this thing called the AGI-09 conference,
Uh,
Artificial General Intelligence, which was led by Ben Goertzel. Are you familiar with Ben? His
I
work?
recognize I recognize the name, but not his can't think of his work.
Yeah, well, right now he's got a thing called the Artificial Superintelligence Alliance.
Oh, I think I yes. Mhm.
And so that's one thing. He's got a thing called Hyperon, and I
Yep.
don't really understand the details. I just sort of blew it open to see what we was up to like last week or so. Because one of the things I've done, and hopefully you'll be able to tune into it and maybe participate in the conversation actually, because I've been talking a lot to this woman named Kay Stoner. Have you run across Kay at all? She's doing a
Mhm.
lot of agentic AI.
Maybe
Yeah.
on I think we can maybe might be connected on LinkedIn. I think I've seen her name before.
Yeah, well, she's also on Substack, so we started talking to each other about this stuff. And she's got it's really interesting. So I'm just having her on every Friday at 10
Oh,
a.m.
trying to
Eastern
catch.
time. We're both on the Eastern side.
Oh, that's even funnier. Oh, yeah. You probably thought I was in California, huh?
Where are you actually? I don't know.
I'm in Cleveland, but I used to be in Los Angeles for 16 years. I moved back in 2012
Right.
to Ohio, yeah. So I'm in the Cleveland area now, but you're probably thinking of that I was in Los Angeles because I was for a long time.
Well, this morning I was thinking that, but I had you in the Midwest. Yeah, in
Yeah.
Cleveland area. Yeah, Ohio. Yeah, from up until then, up until we were talking this morning, and I was like, what are we doing today? What morning? No, it's 2. 2 p.m. Eastern. At 12, is it 12 your time? I forget.
What you mean right now?
Yeah, I don't know. What time
It's
is it
almost
now?
almost 3. I think we're in this if you're in Philly, we should be same time zone, I think.
Yeah, it's coming right up on 3 here, 2:52. I don't know where I am actually. Got no idea.
You're
Apparently, I'm heading to
going
495 south, though.
backwards on a freeway.
Yeah, I think I'm going south again. I was just following a road that said it was south, but I think it was more or less east. And that's why I
Yeah,
ran into a river or a bay with something. I don't know what it was. Yeah.
sounds kind of fun.
Yeah.
Kind of just
It's an adventure. And I know where DC is, so I can get there.
so if you keep going south, long enough, or I
Yeah,
don't know where
well, run to Baltimore. I know where I am once I get to Baltimore. I love
yeah.
Baltimore. Do you ever go to Baltimore?
Yes. I haven't been super recently, but I feel the same way. I love Baltimore. Yeah.
It's got a nice vibe to it. It's really weird. I don't want to go everywhere in Baltimore. It's a little dicey. It's murder capital of the world for a while there, I think. You remember the show Homicide: Life on the Streets?
I think so.
90s? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gotten I mean, any place where there's a lot of racial segregation and past redlining where they were intentionally stripped of resources, it's
That's it, right?
like that. It's still like that. Yeah. So
I
when
mean, in
people
our country, I really thought we'd made a lot of progress when I was in the 70s, you know?
yeah.
I thought we'd made a lot of progress, and we had not. Did not know that.
It goes in fits and starts, it turns out. I've been doing DEI stuff since the early 2000s and it was going really well. And it'll keep going well. We work around obstacles. Well, I should
I
say
think that's the thing, right?
if you play your cards right, right?
Eventually, we've got to get to the point where you understand we're one species.
Yes.
We're
Yes.
not we're not multiple different species, and our s- differences. Yeah, you were talking about it earlier, and maybe we ought to explore this a little more. Our differences are actually our strength. We
Yeah.
get diversity. We get that. You know, just in a genetic point of view, you don't
Right.
want to necessarily have people interbreeding with each other. But I don't know. I see the kind of primate behavior, right, of the different troops.
Mm.
Like, I think baboons are probably better behaved than we are. But you know what
Most
I
of
mean?
yeah, most of nature knows to admire and take care of their environment and to work together because it has been proven time and time again that it ultimately always will work better and societies and groups that don't do that will not last, right? So since we know this, it's more and more shocking that we move away from it, right? Because
Right.
it's all self-sabotage. What you do to someone else, you do to yourself. What we do to the bad or to animals or to fill in the blank, you feel that you feel it. No one you can only feel yourself and we lead by example. And if you're making a terrible example, you're going to feel terrible.
Getting
So,
a that that was beginning to get a little garbled there for me. I think I might be moving through some different cell
okay.
towers interferences or something.
No
I
worries.
finally I finally got back on 495, so I'm moving, and that's
Oh, good.
good.
You made it. Good. Good. Safe and
Yeah, I
sound.
think so. I'm still not altogether sure where I am, but that's all right.
You're on
I kind
Earth.
of like the feeling sometimes of not knowing where I am, not knowing up from down. But it was very pleasant to be able to take up about an hour of your time now. By the way, how much time do you have? I don't want to.
I can go a little bit longer. Yeah, we can go till 3, a little past 3. I have a call at 4 and I have a place to be in the meantime. I'll have to start moving in a little bit, but I'm good. Or I could just start driving and see what kind of crazy adventures I could get into if I'm like
That's
you,
true.
right?
I hope not. I think that it's probably a good place maybe to hop off and maybe we come back together
Yeah,
again,
perfect.
provided you got some opportunity. I'd like to hear more about your empowering nonprofits book. How's that doing before we
Yeah,
wrap up?
Thank you for asking. So, it came out in November with Wiley, and it's actually doing really well. It was the first book about Gen AI for nonprofits by a major publisher, so that was fun. And I wrote it in 9 months, start to finish, because it all feels very urgent from a sense of needing to
Right.
correct the path for me. So I wanted to get it in people's hands, and it does have a lot of chapters about stuff that we talked about, and mostly it's just fun. I like writing. I like doing anything creative, and I love researching. Hence the PhD um, thing. I already do it, so I figured I might as well get credit for it. Well, I also want to collaborate with cool people from other that are doing research. But
Well, that's
yeah,
it. That's it, right? Collaborating with other people
exactly.
and,
That's the,
feeding off of others' ideas.
yeah.
And hopefully not doing too much competition in doing that. That was one thing I found in academia when I was studying German was I was the representative of the faculty, and as such, I had one vote that was equivalent of the other professors, right? But I was
Mhm.
voting for all the graduate students in our, regular faculty meetings. I
Right.
realized here are 7 people chained together by tenure who loathe each other.
Hmm. Yeah.
And
I
it
don't believe
wasn't
in.
a cooperative, collaborative kind of environment, one where ideas were fed and such. It was more like, I resent each and every one of you, and each and every one of them resented every one of the others. And it
Oh
was
no.
like, this is really awful. This is really terrible. I don't want to do this for a living.
Oh
So,
yeah.
I hope that your AI buddies, are more open minded that way. And the academics, the competition and stuff, the ego plays. That's one thing I really wish we could get past with our
Mhm.
AI ego. Or they ought not, right?
Yeah, I've never believed in competition. I always help other people out. I always try to find the right way to do it with the right tools, and it doesn't have to be
Yeah,
me. I
right,
prefer people. I just don't believe that we need to feel like that at all. I don't believe the world is has scarcity. I believe that some people have a hoarding mentality, and that creates an imbalance in resources. But the resources are all we have all the resources that we
right,
need. It's not distributed correctly
right.
because of competition, right? Because of competition is the problem, in my opinion. Late stage capitalism is not it.
Right. And, I'm seeing that right now. I mean, very graphically right where I live in
Mhm.
DC, on my street. You just go over the hill a little bit, and there's a double mansion that used to be the textile museum.
Right.
That can move down to George Washington University. It's Jeff Bezos' house now. And, you know, the guy's got more money than God, right? Then Mark Zuckerberg bought a place up around the corner. So, it's like, they don't
Oh,
invite me over either. They moved in the neighborhood. They don't bother getting to know their neighbors.
I know. Where's your invitation, right? Well, at least Zuckerberg, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, is doing the giving pledge. So he's pledged to give almost all his wealth away in his lifetime, and so is
Well,
Warren
that's
Buffett.
kind of like Carnegie, right? Carnegie did that more or less.
Now you could say they're all robber barons if you want to,
Yep.
which is could be true. And I know you didn't mean it like that, but I always think it's kind
Yeah.
of like sometimes I think about how capitalism works, that some people accumulate everything and then they give it back and become heroes, but they've been, I don't want to pass judgment, but there are a lot of things that can happen along that path that maybe aren't the best for everybody else.
Sure.
Um, but it's all right.
Yeah.
Some people get to a certain level later in life, and then that's when they start giving it all away, right? They realize they don't need it,
Yep.
need all that. We're all one. Why would they make other people suffer unnecessarily once they are awake to that, right?
Well, yeah, and it's interesting to sort of do the archaeology on a lot of these different wealthy um, families over the years. The Rockefellers, in particular, jump out at me all the time because J.D. Rockefeller Jr. bought my town and restored it
Oh,
to its 18th century appearance. In the 1920s and 30s,
made a
coming
lot
up
of
on
pieces up here too. Yeah, all over this
10
area. Yes,
years
yeah, there's
ago.
a lot of Rockefeller buildings here. It's
I'm sorry, you broke up there. What was that?
there's a lot of Rockefeller buildings here. He was pretty prevalent up in the Cleveland area as well. So yeah, I have mixed feelings about a lot of things.
Yeah. Well,
There's good and bad in a lot of things, right?
yeah. And well, one thing you were talking about there about your attitude towards things of being cooperative, helping people out, in spite of what other people might do. You would
Right.
cleave to your own principles,
Yes.
right?
Always.
And
Yes.
live by those in spite of anything else that happens to cross your path, and that'll keep you going. So I thought
Absolutely.
with you, you've got a lot of iron. I better let you get on to the things that you have the fire. And I really do appreciate you spending some time with me today. And I hope some people got something out of our conversation as well. And if it's
Yeah.
something sparks for anybody else, you want to come on Harrowings, talk about it. I don't know. Can you see the comments, Amy? Can you see those down at the bottom? If
Uh,
anybody
um,
did try to weigh
uh,
in.
I don't know where to look. I see one that says hi to someone, but I don't see like a scrolling
Ah,
list, right? But I don't know, maybe I'm not looking in the right place because
okay.
I'm holding it. I don't usually do stuff on my phone in my car so much, so but
Yeah, and
yeah,
I've gone to map to try to keep on the road since I'm still learning where I am.
I
I
think
think I'm
that's
going
why
the right way.
you're always going the right way.
Alright. Well, let me find us again here. Let's
Yeah.
see, I gotta flip back, and there I am. Ah, there I am. Actually
Oh, you're
live
back.
again.
Alright.
Well,
Perfect.
thank you again so much for joining today at Harrowings. And folks, if you do have any comments, Um, I see bathrobe guy who's been in there. I don't know if you've met the bathrobe guy yet, but he's got a lot of things going on as well on the AI front. He's been developing something called fractal entanglement mass theory, FEMT.
Okay, I love fractals.
So,
I'll look it up.
yeah. And we're talking about sacred or what's it called? Sacred
Sacred
geometry?
Geometry. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I bet
And
Rose Sacred
probably this
Geometry.
relates. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to hit the end button up here and we'll talk to you some other time when I get an opportunity. Let me know whether there's a good window of opportunity for you because I can pretty much write my own ticket these days.
Okay, yeah, I would love to talk to you
Right.
again. You're fascinating. I suspect that you know all sorts of things about all sorts of things that I would be interested in. So I'd be happy to be on your show again. I would love to. And thank you so much.
Yeah,
It
I
was
want
awesome.
to dig. One thing I didn't mention was I want to dig more into what Astro Teller is doing over on Google X. And he's the moonshot captain there. So
I'll look into it too. Yeah.
I'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks. Have a good
Out of
one.
here.
Drive safe. Talk to you soon.
I've been doing